The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated.
Welcome back to the Nova Society. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, and I'm here with my panel, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Mark Bound. Today we will be answering listener emails, and we have a question from James, who lives in Dallas, Texas. And James asks, I'm going to make my own prediction. Your liberal panel, I guess that's you two, will blame Trump for everything going on between Israel and Iran. I'm sure you'll point to President Trump leaving that terrible Iranian deal brokered by lefty Obama. Why can't your panel give President Trump credit for the strong leadership he showed destroying Iran's nuclear program? Well, James,
probably because he didn't.
Not destroyed Iran's nuclear program. We don't have any evidence of that. Trump saying that everything has been magnificently successful was made prior to anyone's having assessed anything on the ground. So, Mark, Scott?
So Brooke, are you trying to say that Trump's lying?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, you lefty, you. I'll turn it over to our resident lefty in emeritus, to Scott Gershwer, because obviously he's talking about you two, not me, because I'm not the lefty.
Okay.
Well, but I do know why Scott sent me the email earlier saying 4 and 5 should be fun. So now I see why.
So yeah, this is 4. So first of all, I gotta say, James from Dallas, Texas, thank you so much for listening. Please continue to listen. Please continue to call us out. We love it. We're college professors. We're not politicians. Okay. And, we really do believe in dissent, and your dissent is welcome, and your dissent is appreciated. It really is. Unfortunately, Trump did take strong leadership. I'll give him credit for that, but he didn't destroy Iran's nuclear program. And the strikes last week are a huge mistake. So I'm just going to run back through it again, okay, just so we all understand that in 2000. So we discovered that Iran had a nuclear program in 2002, and it took a while before we, really had a good strategy for dealing with them. It took quite a while, and we've never hit them before. Oddly enough, in 2007, I think it was, the Israelis hit a Syrian site that was actually, it has recently been revealed. First of all, there were North Koreans in it, which is really bizarre. Lots of North Koreans were killed in that strike, and that Iran was a major sponsor of it. So Iran didn't just hide Fordo, right? Didn't just hide its operation in Fordo under 300 feet of mountain and concrete, but also has other sites that we didn't know about. And we only found out about the Syrian site in 2012 because the Israelis don't really like to talk about what their military has done and what their intelligence people have done. They don't claim a lot of responsibility for these things. And it was only when Syria had a change of leadership that that particular area was uncovered, and these discoveries were made. But so that was 2007. We only found out about it 2012. 2015, Obama, who you call a lefty, which we could discuss some other time if you want, James, together with Great Britain, France, Germany, Russia, China, and the European Union, reached an agreement with Iran on the JPCOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and basically took all 4 ways that you can make fissile material, the fuel for a nuclear weapon, and put it all in a lockbox. Just stopped it. In fact, one of the sites, Iraq, that was one of the original of Iran's sites, a heavy water site. Israel bombed it last week anyway, because they were worried that it would be reconstituted because of the emphasis on all the other ones. So the JPCOA that this leftist Obama put together with these other countries, 6 countries, would have kept Iran from getting a bomb for 15 years. Mentioned in the last podcast that, getting something at this point for like 10, 15, 20 years, 25 years, at this point in the way things are changing so rapidly around the world, would probably be a sign of stability, and 15 years would be great. And if they decided to reconstitute their nuclear program, because of the JPCOA, you would have a full year to be able to deal with it one way or another, right? Now, the lefty, Obama, was the one who approved the massive ordnance penetrator, the 30,000-pound bomb that Trump used. That was a program that Obama started and gave the approval for, because he knew that at some point or another he might have to somehow fully incapacitate other sites that are deeply buried underground, and we would need that kind of weapon. In addition, when Biden was president, we did that same move that they used, where they sent some B-2s one way and another set of B-2s the other way, and allowed people to track one of them but not the other, as a fake, as basically a head fake, so that you could be able to bomb them without them knowing about it. And of course, they had jets that went in beforehand, and all of that was game plans, rehearsed, exercised in coordination with Israel during the Biden presidency. Okay, so all the groundwork here was laid out by lefties. The only thing that Trump did that you want to give him credit for is green lighting it, is saying go ahead and do it, and he did it. So I guess I give him credit for it, for doing that. I don't think it worked. I don't think that he has stopped them. But here's the absolute worst part of all this. Here's the part that, and this just came out yesterday or this morning, that during the NATO meeting, Trump was asked by a reporter how he was able to come to a conclusion that contradicted what Tulsi Gabbard said the Pentagon's intelligence had revealed, that they were not working on a bomb. And Trump said out loud on camera, the Israelis had somebody in there. And I'm sure that person really wishes that he hadn't said that. Iran has been rounding up people and executing them for being spies for Israel. And Israel has had a tremendous amount of success, even killing the leader of Hamas, I believe it was, in Tehran itself, because it has assets in Iran. And now those assets probably have been exposed, and those assets are gone, and they're really hard to get back. So I don't know what part of this you want me to praise Trump for. Is it giving up our allies' spy networks? Is it dropping bombs that didn't have the proper effect? I'll give him credit for not bombing the nuclear reactors and causing a meltdown. I'll give him credit for that if you want. I don't mind. But I don't think that this was a good move. I don't think it was an effective move. And I think that if you're going to shoot the king, you better hit the king. You better kill the king, because the king's coming back at you. And that's exactly what we've done. We have not changed the regime, which we really needed to do. And we have not successfully destroyed this program in a way that Obama did with a computer virus, the Stuxnet. You could read all about that if you want. It's a fascinating story about how all of a sudden the centrifuges came spinning wildly and went and broke themselves off because of a computer virus that was sent in by U.S. and Israeli intelligence, and by the JPCOA, an act of diplomacy that, as I said last week, Americans should have been dancing in the street when they announced that. But thanks to Heritage and thanks to Fox, everybody only looked at the downsides and not the positives of that deal. That is the deal that Trump is trying to get back now. He's not getting a better deal than that. Biden tried, by the way. Biden wanted to include the ballistic missile programs and terrorism. But at this point, Iran's ability to, its proxies are badly damaged by Israel. Israel has really won this war with Iran. And what they have left is they talk about sleeper cells here in the United States, but I'm not worried about the sleeper cells of the Iranians because we have sleeper cells for the right wing here in the United States. And one of them went out and killed two politicians in Minnesota, or shot one of them and her husband, and killed them, and shot another couple, and was going to go to the No Kings rallies and commit crimes there and shoot people. So we have plenty of sleeper cells right here. They're called militias, and we call them the right wing and the Proud Boys and all that kind of stuff. But now in addition to that, we do have to worry about Iranian sleeper cells.
Yeah, I agree that the bombing of these sites, although on the surface may seem like a good idea, but there were a lot better ways to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish if we're going to give credit for Trump trying to come up with regime change. As we've said before on this podcast, and I don't think there's really any argument to be made, if Mossad wanted to take out the leadership of Iran, they are very good at that. And Trump probably should not have, if his ideas was regime change, probably should have allowed them to go ahead with it. Now, we don't know if there was actually a conversation between Netanyahu and Trump saying, no, don't do that. We don't know. That's been reported, but nobody's sure. But if you're going to do regime change, let Mossad do what they're very, very good at doing, and that is cutting off the head of the Hydra. They're very good at that. Let them do it. Then that opens the door for regime change. Bombing these sites, when you show this kind of force, and again, I've said this before, the idea of Israel against Gaza, they lost support rather quickly, the Israelis did, because Gaza was seen as the great underdog here. The fact is that Iran, even if it's true or not, was seen as more of a match. Therefore, the world kind of sees this as, okay, this is a fair fight. Bombing Iran by the United States only bolsters, in my mind, the regime that sits there now. If somebody was to bomb the United States, even those people that can't stand Trump, those lefties, are going to rally behind the leader of the nation. It is a natural thing to happen. And I think that is what, could be happening in Iran. But if you want to change out the regime, there's far more delicate ways to be able to do it. Let Mossad do what they are so very good at doing. They took out the head of the Revolutionary Guard. They took out the head of the military. They're very good at this. Let them do their thing. And then you can set the stage. You can create the platform for regime change to have. So in my mind, if it is regime change, and a lot of people are making the argument that that's what this is all about, I think I agree with Scott. This was the wrong way to do it. This only entrenches the regime. So, and I mean, that's not a lefty attitude or a righty attitude or any attitude. That's an attitude that's just human nature. That is absolutely human nature. Even when we look at the war between Russia and Ukraine, when Ukraine started to hit inside of Russia, Putin's popularity, even though his own people really don't like him, went up. It happens. That's the way it works. So I think that's something that we really have to consider when we're looking at this entire situation. So I'm sorry. First of all, you're from Dallas. And the only thing I don't like about Dallas is the Cowboys. That's it. Giants fan. Hey, what are you going to do? And I have suffered a lot, and I'm glad that you guys suffered as much as I did last year. But the fact is that this is just not the way to go about. If that go about making that happen, if that truly is the end game you have. So it's a little hard to give Trump credit when you can't figure out exactly what he's doing. Now, our listener, and again, I agree with Scott, we'd like to have people to push back on us. It's important. It's called discourse. We like it. And we want to be called out on things. And I'm going to call you out on something. Next time you write in, how about explaining to me exactly what the hell Trump's doing from your perspective? And then maybe we can have a discussion about it. Because as of right now, it's really tough to figure it out.
Say one thing.
Okay.
You won't forget what you were going to say.
I will not.
He's old, but he's not seen out yet.
Oh, I probably will forget what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, and I do agree with both Mark and Scott. Do certainly continue to send because it makes for a very lively discourse, which I certainly appreciate. And one point that I wanted to make is if you listen to the responses from the Trump administration, individuals were saying, I think it was Vance and I don't know if it was Rubio, a couple of people, oh, regime change is not what we're doing. And Vance said, we're fighting against the program, which made me chuckle. It's like saying, well, we're Japan in World War II, they were fighting Pearl Harbor, the location. I mean, that's a rather silly thing to say. You can't fight a program anymore. As we've talked before on this podcast, you can't fight an idea. I mean, you can't fight against a program. Anyway, one point that has irritated me for a long time that no one has pointed out is when Trump was talking and he had Carolyn Levitt speak to everyone about when he was going about the 2 week, and everyone, the people that I listened to, like the media and whatnot, were laughing about the 2 week. Part of the beginning part of Trump's sentence was there was a very significant chance that Iran either would or would not come to the negotiating table. There's not a significant chance that they will or will not come. There's 100% chance that they either will or they won't. There's not a significant chance. Well, I mean, there was no chance because he went ahead and bombed them. But under ordinary circumstances, something either is or is not going to happen. And there's no significant chance. It's 100% chance that it's either is or is not going to happen. And so I thought that was just an idiotic. And she quoted him, Levitt quoted Trump as saying there's a significant chance that they either will or will not come to the table. And I thought, no, there's a 100% chance that they either will or will not come to the table to negotiate. I mean, what is this man even talking about? And that leads me to my final point, where Trump is now saying, make Iran great again. So he's got an MIGA. And I thought, of course, he doesn't explain what that means any more than he's really explained what make America great again means and what that looks like. So what does make Iran great again even look like? Great again from whose perspective, and what does that even mean? So James, if you know what that means, and what do you think that means, and what do you think that should mean? And what is Trump talking about? And it doesn't mean anything.
Actually, Brooke, I can answer that.
Yeah, please go right ahead.
Well, because in that same tweet that he put out there where he uses that term MIGA, he says if the regime is not responsive to their people or something like that, then what use is the regime? So he's talking about regime change. He's just doing it in the wrong order. And, even when Trump diagnoses something correctly, which is rare, and in this case, I don't think he did, even when he diagnoses it correctly, his strategy is nowhere, but his tactics are usually the wrong tactics to get something done. But look, Iran is apparently sending signals. They're not confirming this, that they're ready to talk again, saying that the logic of war has not worked and that the logic of diplomacy must return. And So apparently, according to Trump, there's tentative talks scheduled for as early as next week between Steve Witkoff, the real estate developer and old golf buddy of Trump's, who is running our incredible diplomacy, um, and diplomats from Iran and other intermediaries. However, Trump said, "Yeah, we'll hold a meeting with them, but we're going to talk to them." He said, "We may sign an agreement. I don't know. I don't think it's necessary." Now, this could be hardball, or this could be, how does Trump sign a deal to contain a nuclear program that he claims he's obliterated? That's a little bit of a paradox that's going to be sort of interesting for them to justify or get around or figure out how to spin in some way or another. If it's true that these attacks, incredibly expensive, by the way, these incredibly expensive attacks, 70 million a bomb, plus all the B-2 stuff and the flying $150,000 an hour of flight time, money that probably could have been used better for the American people than this. But that's neither here nor there. But if he claims that he's bombed them into obliteration, what is he discussing with them exactly? Why would he want to contain their program? He's got a messaging problem that he's going to have to figure out somehow between now and sometime next week.
And I would say also to James in Dallas, in 2013, when Obama, that lefty, was the president, he offered Israel 5,000 bunker buster bombs on top of another 5,000 not bunker buster bombs. Say that 3 times real fast. See how that works out for you. And it was confirmed by the Pentagon that the Congress was going to approve that under the condition that Israel did not bomb Iran's nuclear sites. And this was reported in the Business Insider, which is probably as right-wing as you're going to get. It kind of ranks right up there with Forbes and with the Wall Street Journal. So again, this is nothing new here. And this is what diplomacy works. This is how it looks. When Obama says to Netanyahu, and there's a picture of the two of them together, hey, listen, I don't want you to bomb those nuclear sites. We want to get this deal through. We want to, this is a good deal. It will work. And offers them those big bombs. I won't try to say it because I'll just stumble through the whole thing. But offers that to them. I don't know. That to me says, okay, Israel, exactly what the United States is supposed to do is support as opposed to get involved. And I agree with Scott, the idea that there is a conundrum there with what Trump says and what's implied by what he says and what reality might be. Again, I will give credit where credit's due. My question to James is very simple, and I hope you're right back in because we'll put it back up here. Honestly, we will. What is exactly? Give me specifics on what exactly you seem to think we should be crediting him for, and we'll be happy to have that discussion. Matter of fact, James, if you wanted to come on, we'd be happy to have you. So I think we did answer that one. Hopefully, maybe not the way you wanted, but hey, we did the best we could.
Thanks, James.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hey, that's great. Yeah, James, why don't you give serious thought to coming on the program? We'd love to have you, and do write back, at the very least, email back and share what you feel Trump deserves credit for and your specific arguments for what we are specifically missing. And we'll be happy to discuss this further. So
absolutely, and I will send it on to our lefty emeritus, Dr. Scott Gershwer, and he'll be able to he'll be able to respond.
Yes.
I can't help, James. I can't help it. I'm a red diaper baby. My mom is from Scotland. She's so socialist. It's really just bred in me. Can't be helped.
It's in his DNA.
Glasgow,
So, thank you, James, and thank you to all our listeners. Thank you, Mark and Scott, as well. Thank you to everyone for spending some time with us, and we'd like to thank all of our subscribers as well for your continued support, and we do appreciate that. If you are not a subscriber to the Nova Society on the platform of your choice, please do subscribe. Keep those emails coming, and we will see you again next time on the Nova Society.
The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We'd like to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing partners, Apple iTunes, the largest source of podcasts and music on the internet, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your source for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. We'd also like to thank all of our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society would not be possible. If you have a question or comment, we can be reached at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So for Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershwer, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power in society is knowledge. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Phoenix Research Group, an independent research consortium offering social-political issue solutions to NGOs and international government agencies through multidisciplinary, nonpartisan, and unbiased research. The Phoenix Research Group is a division of the Phoenix Research Institute, the producer of the Nova Society podcast.